Come on, please. Yes! 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 Yes!
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is episode 21 of the 9 Dart Podcast, your one-stop shop for talking tungsten. And Josh, hello and welcome to you, first of all.
Hello, how are we?
I'm very well, because I think we have an absolutely fantastic episode. So many of the major food groups are represented, and that is in my first thoughts. We have so much to get through. We have great stuff happening at the Super Series with the champion of the world. We have Beau Greaves, again, just keeps winning in a Women's World Match Play coming up. The World Cup of Darts is here. Paul Lim and Simon Whitlock are going to be on a PDC stage. Get in. So many great stories. The two Lukes that we've been talking about for so long are going to pair up together. We will see that this weekend. But most excitingly, Josh, we're going to go Bunting Mental, because guess who won on the World Series? Yes. This is a great show. There is so much to get to.
Before we get to Bunting, let's go. We had a 9-darter.
We did.
From Stowe Buntz.
On the CDC stage.
Champion darts, yes.
This is, so we're gonna talk about some American and Canadian darts players quite a bit in this episode.
Yes, we will.
But Stowe Buntz doing great things, hitting a 9-darter, 177, 180, and the 144 for a 9-dart finish against Jim Long in that CDC match. Always exciting when someone hits a 9-darter, of course.
Absolutely. Well, especially if it's non-PDC affiliated as well. It's good to see external competition such as the CDC getting those. But no,
do very good.
Fantastic
To Stowe Buntz.
We'll see him in the North American qualifiers and stuff.
North American Darts Championship and US Darts Masters.
Yes,
that's what it says. You wrote that down on the rundown, Josh, and I remember to say it for you.
There you go.
So Stowe Buntz hit a 9-darter on the CDC, and Jonny Clayton reeled in the big fish and the classic point to the camera, which is his trademark celebration.
Always knows
in that match against
where the camera is, Big Johnny.
Darius Labanauskas, who had a bit of a battle on his way through. Labanauskas had, I think, a 160 out as well to keep the match alive. It was a great skin saver, but he wasn't able to get the victory there. But he lost in his next match, Jonny Clayton, to the man who would go on to win the tournament. And it is quite remarkable when you see the final matchup, and I'll get to that in a moment. But let's celebrate the fact that Stephen the Bullet Bunting has won yet another trophy this year. He's won one on the Euro Tour ranking event. This is his second World Series title, and it was a fairly strong performance, it must be said. 90, I need to bring this close to me. 91.76 average against Oscar Lukasiak. Did that go off for half a second? Yes, it did. That's all right. 97.48 average against Jonny Clayton. Both games 6-3. 7-5 in a win over Nathan Aspinall. 95.73. But he was playing much better than that, and Aspinall nearly produced a great comeback. He was a bit struggling on his doubles. He wasn't as crisp on double 16 as he usually is. Bunting. Top seems to be better for him in this particular tournament, and then an 8-4 win against Rob Cross at 97.49 average in the final. The interesting thing with Stephen for me this week is we saw some great bits, but also he was a bit wayward at times and just falling short and going a bit low. So I don't think we saw the absolute best of Stephen Bunting, but particularly off the Premier League he's had. This was in effect a Premier League night, and we'll get to that later.
Pretty much.
It was just Jonny Clayton was there instead of MVG. And it was a slightly longer format with the semi-finals and finals. But look, it's very good news to see Stephen Bunting winning. We like that on this show. Well, half the desk does. And he's going to be very dangerous at the World Match. Well, one of us gets extra excited. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you do have a Bunting T-shirt.
I only got a Bunting shirt for Christmas last year. So I am a massive fan. But look, it was a very strong performance relatively. He was a bit up and down at times, Stephen, but I think he was the best player there for the weekend.
Oh, for sure. He's very strong performance against some very strong players. Cross, Aspinall, Clayton, the main ones there. High averages in excess of 91 for all games. So he was very, very good across the board and had a great weekend for him.
Yeah, he was probably a bit stronger in Bahrain in terms of averages and statistics and that sort of thing, but he was definitely the best player there. Number 1 seed on the World Series Order of Merit. He keeps that, so always good to see the Bunting and the 1 next to each other. We like that very much indeed. Like I already said, won a Euro Tour event as well, so we're just waiting for that big ranking major that I predicted he would do at the start of the year. And I'm hoping that he will do that in the coming days. And who knows, when we get to the World Match Play, he's going to be a big threat.
I think he will be.
You won't want to draw him. I think he'll be on the safer side of the draw as Humphreys. So they would meet in the semi-final should they both get there. But very strong performance from Stephen Bunting getting the job done there. Didn't have to play either of the Lokes as well, so that helped him.
That's handy.
Both losing in the quarterfinal stage. Lilla to Aspinall and Humphreys to Price. So good weekend for Stephen Bunting yet again in bed with the trophy, which is just what he does. Does it better than Lionel Messi or anyone else that has ever done that celebration.
Or
it's
Luke.
for Stephen Bunting or Littler himself. It is the trademark Stephen Bunting celebration at this point. So well done, Stephen. Great stuff. We won't see him at this week's tournament, even though if he was literally representing any other country, he would be there.
He would.
Unfortunately. England does have a couple of pretty good darts players, both named Loki, which you may have heard of. But a good weekend for Stephen Bunting picking up yet another trophy. Go on, my man.
Well
someone else who has had a good one was Rob Cross.
Yes.
He's in the positive surprise and the disappointing moments.
He is.
One for on the hockey, one for off the hockey.
Yes.
He made the final. It's very interesting that the guys who finished 7th and 8th in the Premier League this year were on the finals of the World Series events in Den Bosch and Copenhagen that were on either side of that Premier League season. How bizarre is that?
Exactly. No, well, he was pretty disappointing in the Premier League. I think we can both agree on that. So
yes,
it was good to see him make the final because he was been off and on, didn't have a Premier League nightly win as we know, and then to come back and make a final is a pretty good statement.
Yes,
for him.
And particularly he had that first round draw against Andres Harrison, and that was a match where he was maybe even the PC superstar, the biggest risk, just off Harrison's recent performances. We know he hit a 9 data at the Super Series. He was very strong against Michael Smith,
he got
and it was pushed. It
against
was 6-4.
Harrison. Yeah,
and Harrison didn't play too badly. 88.22 average there for dirty Andreas Harrison, and that beard, fantastic stuff.
Still going, by the
way. With the biggest. Dominant performance of anyone on the weekend. Chris Dobie whitewashed 6-0 in that quarter-final. That was more on Dobie not being very good than Cross being amazing. And then getting the better of Goen Price, which is a tough match as always. We know that. So making the final was a very good one for Chris Dobie. Rob Cross, who beat Chris Dobie on the way there. Are we a bit worried for the strength of the affiliate tours at the moment that get to the Super Series? Because all of them lost in the first round, and outside of Harrison and the Darius Labanauskas, how did I forget him? He's one of my favourites as well, who just lost narrowly to Clayton, even though there was about a 10-point gap on averages.
True.
It was pretty fairly one-sided at the moment. There was a time not too many years ago where we saw quite a few more competitive matches on the World Series.
We did, at least I did, predict a couple of upsets and didn't go their way, but yet pretty much what we expected, isn't in terms of the seeded players dominating over the non-seeded ones. You can see the first round there. So, yeah, I mean, it could be a bit of an interesting concern. I'm not sure what you think about it, but you've sort of outlined it already.
The way I look at this is that the PDC, it's not so much that the affiliate tours have got worse. I don't think that's relatively true.
I don't think they've got worse in quality at all.
I think it's the PDC superstars have just got a lot better.
They've just gone way better.
So looking at, and I've mentioned this a couple times in the past, it's been mentioned on other dart shows about broadening that lineup of guys, which would be good for players who might want to get into a Premier League, for example, and need that big stage experience on the television a little bit more in years to come. And it might also provide a better quality for these guys to play against. So that is something that could be looked at in the future, maybe. It would be a reshuffle of the way the World Series has always been done to go away from this sort of 16-player format. But nevertheless, it might be something that could be looked at, because I think it would be beneficial for guys getting who's trying to get on that Premier League sort of avenue to get a bit more stage experience. It would be good for these guys because they get slightly easier, at least theoretically, matchups. And it'd be good from a television point of view because you'd see a few more guys that perhaps you wouldn't see otherwise. So think of someone like Damon Heta could have played in plenty more World Series events if there were more spots available, and might have helped him transition. It might help transition guys better into the Premier League going forward. So that's one to watch because at the moment it feels pretty one-sided. It feels like it's unlikely to see a big upset on the World Series stage anymore, outside of Den Bosch, where we know it's a bit different because they're all tour card holders.
We do hope for upsets here and there just to make it interesting, but it does seem to be the quality in the centre is only growing each and every time, each and every tournament. But it sort of sucks to see sometimes seeing the same people winning over and over again, but they're just too good for some of these guys. You know,
they are. They just are.
That's just how it is.
That is really how it is. Unfortunately, now we mentioned Rob Cross already. This is, I don't know how much of this you're familiar with,
I've heard
Josh.
of it, but I haven't really seen the
Rob
main
Cross
crux of it.
is in a bit of strife away from the hockey. The sports Bible here makes it sound like he's been banned from the sport. Don't worry,
I know.
It's a bit dodgy.
It's
a bit clickbaity.
Yeah,
but the former world darts champion, Rob Cross, who was when we, just for a bit of background here, he really came not completely out of nowhere, but he was a real Cinderella Rise story. He got his tour card on the Challenge Tour. He made a couple of major finals in 2017, and then in that 2018 World Championship, survived match darts against Michael Smith, had to beat Michael Van Gogh in one of the great Ali Pali games, and then beat Phil Taylor in his last ever game to win the world title. So it was quite the rise for Rob Cross, who was relatively unknown 12 months before his World Championship, and then won his the world title at his first attempt, much like Taylor did, funnily enough, in 1990. But with all this influx of money, he had to work out his tax situation, and all these guys, these dust players are technically self-employed. They're not employed by the PDC, who just hand out the prize money and run the PDC side of the sport, obviously, and just run those tournaments. They're a promotional body, as they keep telling us many, many times. They're not a governing body. The former, I'll read directly from this BBC article, former World Darts champion Rob Cross has been disqualified from acting as a company director for 5 years after his business failed to pay more than $450,000 in tax. I'm expecting this. I'm not going to be too. I'm going to try and be a bit more. Give people benefit of doubt sort of thing. I doubt it was him deliberately trying to be a bit dodgy, and it was more just poor accounting from someone else who is really in charge of those sort of things. Because most people don't really understand tax brackets and the financial thing, especially when your main job is throwing the quality tungsten that he is.
On the hockey.
So look, it's not a great look anyway. At any rate. He had a company right after he basically won that world title to sort of work out that sort of financial thing, and it fell into liquidation, and he's got quite a bit of a tax hole to pay. It shouldn't be too bad for someone of his quality, but it's just not. It's not an amazing look for Rob Cross.
No, it's not.
Particularly in the current financial times that we're in the world over.
That's
so
true.
that was, come on, Rob, pay up, work it out. That's a developing situation that sort of rose up about 5-6 days ago. He's not banned from the sport itself.
No,
he's just banned
Sport
from
Bible. I mean, I think just to outline the news, that's pretty disappointing to just have someone to have a clickbait article like that. Like, come on, you can do better than that. You know, Sport Bible, pull your head in.
You're perfectly fine to write on that, and it's not even
exactly. But
you could write 34-year-old has been hit with ban from what was the from being a company director or something like that. Has been disqualified from acting as all they need to add was the 3 words from company director until 2030, and that would still be interesting. People like, I didn't even know he was a company director.
Exactly.
I think you'd still get plenty of interesting hits on that on story. But yeah, so that's a bit dodgy from you, Sport Bible.
Come on, do better.
And they point out some interesting content anyway, so that's a bit disappointing. So disappointing Sport Bible, disappointing Rob Cross.
What isn't disappointing?
What isn't disappointing is what's coming up this weekend. So what we've decided to do for the great debate, we could talk about this in the week ahead, but what we're going to do is at the week ahead, Josh, you're going to tell me who's going to win the tournament and who's going to lose in the final.
Sure.
But right now, we're going to go through the groups for the World Cup of Darts. The draw, as I pretty much said on the podcast, was going to happen this week.
Yep.
It pretty much happened like the day after. Watched the draw. It was a bit fuzzy with that camera. Initially,
Got
but
in the end.
They worked it out in the end. This is how the groups will line up, and I'm telling you, Josh, I'm very excited.
Oh, me too.
And we'll go in alphabetical order because I reckon
group by group. Let's do it.
that there's pretty much almost a 50-50 split between groups where I think it's fairly obvious who will win, and being the seed. But also, there are some groups where the seed very well might win it, but they've got some challenges, and maybe you and I will pick some non-seeds. So,
Find out.
let's start.
Let's do it.
Group A is the 5 seeds. So just a reminder, the top 4, England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, will enter in the second round. So that's on day 3 of the event.
Yep.
Day 1 and 2 will have the group stage. Day 1 will just have an evening session. The first 2 teams that we will name will play each other. Then on day 2, in the afternoon session, the loser of that first match will play the third team in the group. And then the evening session, the third team in the group will play the winner of that first match. This is done so that there's always something to play in that third match. And hopefully, the ideal situation is that the 2 teams are 1-0 and it's a straight shootout. If it's 1-0 and 0-1, then there's a bit more leg difference comes into play, that sort of thing.
Hopefully you can understand that.
Hopefully that makes sense. Right, let's start it off. Group A, Netherlands are the 5 seed. Italy and Hungary will join them. Interesting group based off the fact that the Netherlands are here. They're usually a team you just assume would be in the top 4. But no Michael van Gerwen. We know that, and we know the reasons why. Danny Noppert and my man Jan van Veen will be joining them.
Very good duo, though.
Italy last year made a dream run to the quarterfinals, including beating Hetter and Whitlock along the way. I do like Michael Tourette. He's he looks a good player, but I think the Netherlands will be too strong in this group. Is that a fair summation,
agree.
Josh?
I've got that as well. I think they'll just be too strong. They've got 2 quality people in Noppert and Van Veen. I think they'll just be
we're
too
both
good.
predicting the Netherlands for Group A. Group B, 6 seed Belgium, Latvia, and Philippines. Now, I think we both like Mike Decker.
We do.
I think we both had. If it was up to us, he would have been in the Premier League this year, I think.
Yes.
A World Grand Prix champion, and he is in the side this year. Kim Huybrechts comes out.
Alongside Vandenberg.
Dimitri Vandenberg. We have not seen him at all for the last few months. He's basically taken them off. And this one is very interesting to me because he could rock up, and he does seem to like the World Cup environment.
He does.
And we know that his relationship with the Huybrechts brothers has been a bit off over the last couple of years. So having Mike Decker might provide a much-needed spark. But I'm very interested to see what happens when he turns up, because he could easily bang in 100 average and look very good. But he's off. I reckon we've got 2 very strong teams here. Manus Rasma is playing pretty well at the moment, and that Philippines team with Lawrence Alagan, who's just a great player, and Paulo Nebreda, who might try and out Dimitri. I'm not looking forward to the Netherlands and Philippines, by the way, because I think Nebreda and Vandenberg might make it a very tough watch.
Could be.
That being said, I still think they'll be a bit too strong, the Belgian duo, but I do think both Latvia and Philippines could make very good matches of that group.
Half a chance. Yep, I agree. Spot on.
So you're going to
I've got Belgium as well, but
Group
again,
B.
I can see it being very competitive as well.
Group C, the 7 seeds are Germany, Portugal, and Singapore. Now, we talk about in the AFL contest having a second team. My second team behind Australia will be Singapore, purely because of Paul Lim. We absolutely love him. He's a legend of the sport, and he's playing quite well. He won a tournament in the WDF
very recently.
A few weeks ago in Mongolia. He missed double 12 for a 9-darter during that tournament as well. He's playing quite well, Paul Lim, at the moment. He's doing well on the Asian Tour. However, Martin Schindler and Ricardo Pietritsku, I really like this young, dynamic German team.
Yep.
And as much as I would like to see Paul Lim, who knows, even go on this amazing run towards the end of the tournament, I'm backing the Germans in this particular group. I just think it's a bit too difficult. And Portugal, Jose de Sousa is an absolute shadow of his former self. The action's completely broken down. Yeah, it's not looking likely he'll hold on to his tour card, former World Grand Prix champion. So I'm going with the Germans in Group C.
Yep, agreed.
I think the home crowd as well will... I'm just hoping what I would like to see is for Germany to beat Portugal, then Singapore to beat Portugal, just so we have Paul Lim in a clutch match.
Hopefully.
But I think the home crowd advantage will be too much for them.
Agreed.
Group D, 8 Ireland, Gibraltar, China. Now, Ireland on paper should be relatively comfortable, and William Connor's playing well, but King Barry, I'm not so sure where he's at. He changed at the start of the year from the darts laying down at a terrible angle to sort of laying up.
Yeah.
He's been a bit over the place, and if he plays all right, they should be okay. But this, the Chinese pair, we've been waiting for Zong to replicate on the World Cup stage a bit more than we've seen. He's played quite well on the on the
What stage is
Chinese
it?
scene,
As we
the
mentioned
Chinese
last
Premier
week
League, the
or
Asian Tour.
fortnight
Yes,
ago.
exactly.
Yep.
Can you see the Republic Island being knocked off here, Josh?
I can't, but I am willing to give him
A good chance.
a good chance. You just never know. Which is what we love to see. But yeah, I think we got some agreements, but we'll find out.
I'm splitting from you here. I'm going to back China in this group.
Okay.
This is our first split, and my
Okay.
first of
All right.
a few non-seeds. I'm gonna back the Chinese one for this one. I think Zhong can finally bring
Okay.
something important here. And Ireland, they lost to Chinese Taipei in their group last year, if you remember that one. So I'm going to back China to win this one. There's a bit of a theme here with. I reckon this could be a good tournament for Asian darts. I know we haven't picked the Philippines, but if they get through their group, and I like another Asian country to come through their group, we'll get to it in good time.
Didn't expect that.
Group E, 9 seed Poland, South Africa, Norway. As much as I would love to see Devin Peterson just dance his way into this tournament, I think the Polish pair will be too strong. Ratajski and Shadansky not just sound good as a pair, but are good as a pair.
Yep. I'm having a look again just at the pairings, and I think Christoph and Radek will just be too good. I definitely agree.
I think it's almost, if anything, might be just about the straightforward group. Poland, the 9 seed, I think will get in. They hold the world record pairs average of 118 point something, the Polish pair from a couple of years ago. Group F, the 10 seed is Canada, Malaysia and Denmark. Matt Campbell and Jim Long. Is that even the best possible Canadian pair? Maybe not.
Probably not. No.
But I'm just not. I don't know what to expect of the Malaysian pair and Denmark. Benjamin de Roos, who still hasn't won a leg. Poor him in the Nordic Darts Masters. He got whitewashed again, this time by Aspinall. I like that. I think the Canadian pair. Well, I probably wouldn't expect them to go very deep into this tournament. I think they'll get through Group F fairly easily.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating thing. If they had, they could be a big danger if they had some of the different nations in here. Right.
Yeah. We agree on that one too.
Yes. Now, Group G.
Oh yeah, Group G.
This is the one group in here where you could almost split your chances in thirds here. Because I think they're all excellent.
One of the most competitive groups.
So it's 11 seeds, Sweden, Lithuania, and France. And I think you can make a case for every single team in this group. I am going to go against the seeds here because Jeffrey de Graaf doesn't quite seem as good as he is, and we know form can return. His doubling was good when we last saw him last week, but his scoring wasn't. And Oscar Lukasiak, let's not sugarcoat this. That first dart, that pause, he's struggling with dartitis. Darts 2 and 3 are fine, but that pause is very concerning for me on dart 1, and we saw it in that game against Stephen Bunting. Now, Lithuania, Darius Labanauskis, he is playing quite well.
You like him?
And even this French pair with Tricol and Labre, who we haven't seen, who has perhaps not quite reached his potential in singles, but he's done well in pairs.
He has.
I think you can make a case across the board here, Josh. Where are you going? I feel like we're going to split, but I don't know why. Or how.
You want to go first?
I'm going to go the Lithuanian pair. I'm going to back Darius in to lead them through that group.
I have it, but I'm like, oh, should I change it? I don't know. Oh my god.
Who did you write down when you did this before we went on air?
I had Sweden.
You had Sweden.
I had Sweden, which is probably.
Have I talked you out of it?
Makes the most sense, right?
Have I talked you out of it?
Potentially, the way de Graaf and Oscar could play, but I'll stick with my gut for now.
You're gonna go the Swedes.
I'll go
I don't
Sweden.
think that's absolutely terrible. I think it's almost 33% the lot here. I think they're all excellent chances.
I can absolutely
I wouldn't be surprised
see,
if anyone got through this group.
I can absolutely see anyone could get through.
Right,
for sure.
we get to
are.
our group. The Australian flag, which is sit here every week, despite the fact we don't talk tons of Australian darts, that we will continue to do a bit more because it's getting interesting in the Australian scene.
Oh, yeah.
The 12th seed is Austria. Menzel Sulovic and Rusty Jake Rodriguez comes in to replace Roby John. So interestingly, the finalist pairs from last year aren't the same. They've got Humphreys and Sulovic are still there, but Smith is out for Littler and the Rodriguez brothers flip. Spain is there,
changes.
and of course Australia. Damon Heta and Simon Whitlock. Damon Heta is undoubtedly one of the best players in the world.
I think he's number 10 in the world now. Something.
He might even be up to number 8. He's somewhere
he's
in there.
8th. Sorry,
he's
you're
8th.
right.
He's the world number 8. So he's the best player in these non-seeded teams when you just take them individually.
Absolutely.
And Simon Whitlock, no matter where his game is at, there's something about the World Cup and Whitlock
Gets it in him.
where he's very strong.
Plays that extra edge on him, doesn't he?
I think this Austrian pair, Sulovic has been, again, a bit like Jose de Souza. He's not quite where he once was. I'm backing the Aussies to get through this group, Josh. Are you with me?
I have too, but I wouldn't be surprised if Austria got through. I think it's going to be Austria and Australia at the very end. They'll compete for that spot, the last match, and I think we'll win. But I wouldn't be surprised if they got through, but that should be a very competitive group.
Yeah, all right. So
opinion.
we're with Group H. Come on, Australia. Come on, Aussie. Come on.
Come
Group
on.
I. The 13 seeds are the USA. They are joined by Hong Kong and Bahrain. Where to start with this group?
Let's start with the USA.
Well, actually, I want to start with Bahrain very quickly.
Okay,
We'll just
sure.
put a line through them. Put a
All
line
right.
through Bahrain.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
that bit's easy.
Sorry.
USA, Lauby and Van Dongen. With the greatest respect to those two, I reckon we could pick guys from the CDC, which would give the USA a bit of a better chance.
I thought Leonard Gates would be in there. No?
No. Because they're the... Let me just...
I reckon Gates would be better than
I think
Jules
Gates,
Van Dongen.
Van Dongen, he's got dialysis issues. I think he's now trying to throw with his other hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This was a big yes. Because they're the two tool card holders for the US, they get the
okay.
spot.
Fair enough.
But I reckon there are some CDC guys that are better. Now, I mentioned earlier about Asian darts. This could be a big tournament for them. Man Lok Lung and Lok Yin Lee for Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
I like their chance in this group. I'm tipping Hong Kong to win this one as the non-seed and knock out the US pair purely because if Leonard Gates was there, if Stowe Buntz was there, the USA might have better chance. The irony is that those two tool card holders might drag them down a bit. I'm going the way of Hong Kong in this one, and I'm backing Asia to have a big World Cup of darts.
All right, conflict of opinion. I'm going the US.
You're going to hold on to the seeds.
I would be hoping that Leonard Gates would be in here, but I actually didn't know until now. I thought he'd be in there.
No, he's not tool card holder.
Even with
As entertaining as he is.
he's so entertaining. Even though it's a depleted side, I think they'll still get through. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hong Kong give it a real shake-up. All right,
Group J, 14 seed is Czechia, Chinese Taipei, or Taiwan, but the CCP won't allow us to call it that, and India. Again, much like Group E, relatively straightforward for mine. Relatively strong pair with Karl Sedlacek leading the way. I think Czechia or Czech Republic. I still can't believe we're calling it these things. Czechia is the official short name that we call for every other country.
It's been
we're not
listed
saying
actually. We're not something listed as Czech Republic.
Every time I look, it's either Czechia or Czech Republic. It's very frustrating. Anyway, I'm calling them Czechia because that's their official short name. I reckon the Czechs will get through from this group, Group J.
Yep, I agree. I don't think Chinese Taipei or India will be strong enough. Just looking at them on paper, they haven't really gone too far.
K.
But yes, Czechia for me. Group K, Croatia, Japan, and
Croatia.
Switzerland.
Again, an interesting group. An interesting group. Stefan Belmont's a quality player.
Yep.
And that Japanese player, Zamoto and Goto, intrigues me.
Very intriguing as well.
And Boris Krikmar as well, who's always an interesting watch. The 15 seed.
Big Boris, yes.
Where are you going?
I've had Finland, but...
we're not looking Group L, we're looking Group K. You said Finland, that's the next group.
Sorry. Switzerland. Sorry, I've got Switzerland in this one.
I've got Switzerland in this one. You've gone for an outsider. Well, I have also gone for an outsider, but I'm sticking with my notion of the Asian teams and going Japan for this one. Yep. I like Azamoto and Goto as a pair together.
I think Belmont could really give a shake-up to that group.
Belmont's that wild card
I think
of this group of anyone. So it wouldn't surprise me if any of those nations came through Group K. And finally, Group L. The 16 seeds are Finland, New Zealand, and Argentina. Argentina making their debut. And New Zealand, much like the US, and maybe to a lesser extent Canada, it's Puha and Cleaver. Yep. No Ben Robb, which would make it, which would probably give them better chances.
Ben Robb would have made a stronger pairing, to be honest.
More out of lack of confidence in the non-seeds rather than massive confidence in the seeds, I'm going to go Finland for Group L.
Well, you already know mine because I said it previous.
You said it previously, yeah. Finland for Group L.
Sorry, Finland as well.
It's an interesting one, and it would have been fun to do this whole World Cup, but just change a few of those seeds. I reckon teams like Czech, you'd look at that bottom row, the 14, 15, 16 seed, and if they had Singapore, if they had Australia, if they had Hong Kong, Lithuania, France, if they had one of these more stronger non-seeded nations, it would... they're probably going to get through a group probably because it's a little bit easier.
Yep.
And But I reckon there's going to be teams who are going to be sitting back watching that second round going, we could have easily won that particular group that nation got through. I reckon it's going to be fascinating.
So
I've got a bit more bold than you, so what
have,
am I? The
you
Netherlands,
have.
Belgium, Germany, China, Poland, Canada, Lithuania, Australia, Hong Kong, Czechia, Japan, Finland. How many of those were non-seeds? I didn't even really count them properly.
You say I didn't count. I have held on to most of the seed ones, but
Yes, you have.
I've taken Switzerland.
And you've taken Australia.
I've taken Australia. Is that really the two? I think it's US. Yes, I have. Who
Yeah,
else?
US was a seed.
Sweden, Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are your two
only two.
non-seeds. Mine
Only
are
two.
China, Lithuania, Australia,
3.
Hong Kong, and Japan. So
So
I've got a full 5.
Wow. So
which is probably a bit more than we usually see. Usually it's maybe 2 or 3.
so 5 out of
And
the
last year was only 1, I think.
so 5 out of 12
So 5
groups.
out of 12 groups. So
Wow.
like I said, I reckon there's about a 50-50 split between relatively comfortable, the seed will just win that, and up in the air.
You just never know.
You
just
just
never know.
You just never know.
And then we'll see how England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland go
Yes.
in round 2. Who will face up against them?
Yeah,
Who will,
it's going to be a random.
Who will face the Lukes? That's the real question.
That's the big question. You don't want to draw them. It is a random draw.
Yes.
After the group stage, so literally the 5-seed Netherlands could play the 1-seed England, or anything can happen. We could have England versus Singapore. We could have Wales versus Australia as a replay of that World Cup final from 3 years ago. We could have Scotland against Hong Kong. It could be literally
Who knows?
anything. Who knows? It'd be funny if all of those matches actually end up happening one way or
Clip
another.
that.
Right, that's the end of the great debate. I've got Dominic Grulich as the future star. News from the JDC is nothing from this week, but next week they will be competing with the JPL returns. I think it's Friday. And on the development tour, which is where I've got this one from, Grulich is currently sitting 4th. Beau Greaves is leading the way, unsurprisingly. Cam Cabtree is 2nd on. Bates is 3rd. So, guys, we sort of talked about a little bit before.
Yep.
And Dominic Grulich is sitting 4th there, just ahead of Sebastian Balachekis, who's a quality player. Jonan van der Velde, who was a World Youth Championship finalist. Charlie Manby. So there's some good players he's ahead of there, Grulich. Who's this week's future star off the back of the development tour. More JDC stuff coming next week.
Something closer to home.
Let's move back and talk about Australia, because this is very exciting.
Very.
The ANZ Premier League, as announced Thursday or Friday, I think it might have been Thursday. A lot of the big news breaks right after we record, predictably. The ANZ Premier League will be televised in Australia and New Zealand.
Excellent.
Fox Sports and Kayo will continue their great work covering darts with this, and Sky NZ will be covering it as well. The eventual champion will secure a place at the World Darts Championship.
Yep.
But I think this is just really important for Australian darts to have more of this stuff, and more of the
Exposure, more
locals
screening,
on
yep.
the TV.
Absolutely. Yep. I couldn't say it better myself. It's great. So we can see it after we go to John Cain
We're
on
going to
October
go
the
to
4th.
John Cain on October the 4th.
Still waiting on media accreditation. Come on.
I'm going to try a few different avenues for that
Me
sort of
too.
thing, but we will be there one way or another.
Can't
I
wait.
went to, as part of a Homestead alumni event, the Melbourne Vixens and Melbourne Mavericks
saw
netball
that.
game, and very briefly, I did see on one of those electronic boards sponsorship for the darts. And I was literally about to take a photo of it, and then it cut away from it, and I needed to catch my tram. And it had to spend like
I
30
trust you.
seconds advertising Jimmy Carr. So, unfortunately, wasn't able to take a photo, but I did see that. I mean, you've probably seen it if you spend your time online. You've seen those advertisements they have
Yep.
with and the style they do it up in, and the little writing in the bottom right saying October the 4th, John Cain Arena in Melbourne. Yes, so that was outside that venue. So
Great.
yes, so ANZ Premier League will be on the telly, and this is how the qualification will work. So
Yep.
we will have the top 2 players from the new Australian Darts Association, which we talked last week. They're staging 12 events from June to September, so the top 2 of that order of merit will get in. The top 3 players from the Darts Players Australia Pro Tour. The top 2 players from the Darts Players New Zealand Pro Tour, and the highest ranked Simon Whitlock will make their way to will be the 8 in the ANZ Premier League this year.
Can't wait to see what the mix will be. Can't wait to see what the mix
It will be very interesting. There's a clear, unlike the actual Premier League, which just has 4 of its spots as basically qualification, there's a full 7 here. So it will be interesting to see. And again, it'll be interesting if, much like what we were talking about with the World Cup a moment ago, if the guys we get, and we're like, well, these are the best 8 we've really got. Are there a few guys that maybe miss out or just miss out who could have been extra entertaining and would have been put in with other qualification formats? But that's how it's going to work. 2 from the ADA, 3 from the DPA, 2 from the DPNZ, and Simon Whitlock as well, who is the guaranteed wildcard off the back of being a tool card holder for all those years.
Any random people you can see being in immediately? I can see Ben Robb in there. I can see potential Gordon Mathers.
Joe
Couple
Comedo.
come to mind.
I'll see if I can find the Dust Plays Australia Order of Merit. That would be nice to see. All right, here we go. If this is... And I don't know if this is accurate with off the back of what we're doing right now. But if I go to the Darts Plays Australia official website, it's got... So what is it? It's the top 3 from the DPA. The current 3 are Gordon Mathers is 3, Brandon Weaning is 2, and Brenton Lloyd is 1.
Okay.
And just outside it is Harley Kemp and Rob Modra, Dave Marlin, Jeremy Fagg. So there's some of the names just outside. And see if I can get the DPNZ as well. So at the moment, we've got Lloyd, Weaning and Mathers there. And I do think the priority is the Australian Darts Association, then the Darts Players New Zealand. That's sort of what I get from reading this. And if we can get the Darts Players New Zealand one up, that would be fantastic. This is from 2024. So Mark Cleaver is leading that one. So I'm not sure that this is particularly what I want.
I'm sure it's still semi-relevant anyway.
It's semi-relevant. Mark Cleaver would be a good chance there. So that's the men's rankings. So based on that, it'd be Mark Cleaver, Caden Milne, the youth player, and Ben Robb is sitting 3rd, but it's sort of an equal 2nd. So we'll keep an eye on that as it goes along, particularly on the Australian side of things, obviously.
Sure will.
But good to see that the ANZ Premier League is going to be up and running, and we have a full qualification format for that. I'm just going to take a drink of water. This is confirmation of the World Cup of Darts fixtures.
First group matches. We'll be waiting probably until the Saturday our time to see Australia. So
Saturday evening and Sunday
morning, maybe. I'm not sure.
No, Friday evening, Saturday morning. Friday evening, Saturday morning.
Okay. Okay, cool.
And by Saturday morning, I mean like 4 in the morning, Melbourne time.
Will you be up for it? 4 a.m.?
Probably not. I'll probably be sleeping, and then I will get up. Presumably, I have to go to the Northern Lions football game, and then come back, sit down, and watch
evening game, maybe. Yeah,
maybe.
I'll make sure.
When does Geelong play? I don't even know. That's another thing you got to keep in consideration too.
I should know, but whilst you do that, very interesting matchups here. I think Sweden Lithuania off the bat could be a good one.
Twilight against Essendon, so there's going to be a lot of things clashing here, Josh.
Off the bat, you see any good matchups? First up,
Sweden Lithuania is very interesting because we were just talking about that group. Happy to see the Chinese Taipei back there. Croatia, Japan, because I want to see what the Japanese are like. USA, Hong Kong, similarly.
It's always good.
Poland, South Africa, just for Devon Peterson would be great.
Austria, Spain, our group could be a good one because that sort of shapes up
what happens with Australia thereafter. Germany, Portugal will be good, just off the excitement of the crowds.
Belgium, Latvia could be interesting.
Absolutely. So there's a few matches that really stick out there. Now, this is where I was expecting us to go. And Beau Greaves and winning, things that just go together. Event 13, Event 14, Event 15, Event 16 of the Women's Series, all won in extraordinary fashion by Bow and Arrow as she continues to pull away on the Women's Series Order of Merit. I'll bring that up in a second.
She's simply unstoppable.
First. She's flying 2 and a bit times more than Fallon Sherrick in second. This is just what we're seeing is extraordinary from Beau Greaves.
Women's Series. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 21,600 to 9,500.
Yep. And then, I'll just go through the quick little merit. So I got Greaves, Sherrick, Ashton, Van Leuven and Hayter are the top 5 at the moment. Going through her results, some incredible results here. Event 13, so it's from the quarterfinal and above, as we know. 5-3 against Van Leuven, 5-2 against Hayter, and 5-2 against Sherrick.
That's in Event 13?
Event 13, yes. Event 14, 5-2 against Ashton, 5-1 against Hayter, 5-4 against Lorraine Winstanley.
And this is from the quarterfinals on.
Yep. Event 15, 5-2 against Sherrick, 5-0 whitewash against Aileen de Graaf, and 5-2 against Rihanna O'Sullivan. Again, some really 5-0s, 5-1s, 5-2s, a lot of easy wins.
A lot of pretty dominant
Finally,
performances.
event 16, 5-1 against Angela Kirkwood, 5-2 against Sherrick again, and 5-1 against Ashton. So if you look at just the numbers themselves, a lot of 5-1s, 5-2s, 5-3s. She only got pushed once, which was a 5-4 against Lorraine Winstanley in event 14, but she's just in exceptional form.
It is just extraordinary.
There is no one close to her at the moment. As you said, 2.5 times the prize money, pretty much. It's just insane.
In terms of money won on the order of merit over the last 12 months. Yeah, there is no one in the women's game particularly close to what Beau Greaves is doing at the moment. As good as guys like the women like Fallon Sherrick and others are. They're just not quite in the same realm of what Beau Greaves is producing at the moment.
Incredible.
Speaking of Greaves, she will defend her Women's World Match Play title. She's the number 1 seed. Van Leuven is 2. Sharrock, Ashton, Byrne, Hayter, Winstanley, and Vinnakainen. There are some strong names that miss out on this tournament.
There are.
Elaine de Graaf, O'Sullivan, who I think was there. Oh, maybe was Sheldon last year. Nomakura Suzuki, who's probably the biggest name who misses.
Trina Gulliver as well.
Paige Pauling, Trina Gulliver. Get those the right way around. Anastasia as well, who was there last year. Christy Hutchinson. So there's some big names.
There are.
And good names that are not going to be at the Women's World Match Play. This is a very strong 8. It feels like for as good as Beau Greaves is, and clearly is better than the rest. I mean, on this Women's Match Play order of merit, she's 2 times more than Van Leuven in second. This is a very good 8 to get, and a very good list of players who have not made it, which is good for the Women's Series.
Absolutely. I mean, you think she'd be hot favourite to win that for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. But no, it's a good overall mix. I think Gemma Hayter's been playing really well as of late.
Yes.
She could be one to watch, absolutely, for this one. But
well, she's got to play Fallon Sherrick then, therefore, in that, because it's 1A, 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5. So Sherrick Hayter, that will be a good match.
That could be real good.
On the Winter Garden stage.
Absolutely. So there you go. Make sure you look out for that one. She's in incredible
that'll be coming
form.
up on the right before the Men's World Match Play Final.
Yep.
CDC stuff, we mentioned Buntz hitting a 9 data earlier, but there's more, Josh. That wasn't the only thing that happened.
Adam Savada, he doubled up on the Championship Darts Circuit. He played Event 3 and Event 4 across the weekend. He was exceptional. So Event 3 quarterfinal, won against 6-3 David Cameron. Semi-final 6-2 against Leonard Gates with a 103 average, if you don't mind. In the final, one against Stowe Buntz, as we referred to earlier, 7-5. In Event 4, again, first to 6 in this one. One against David Cameron, 6-4. And then for whatever reason, this Event 4, the semi-final and the final were first to 7. Trust me, it wasn't my stuffing up. I made sure of it. 7-2
He's literally written here on the rundown a note to say...
Yeah, I have.
It's basically... You can basically translate this. I promise I haven't mistyped that. They were actually... The semi-final was first to 7.
Exactly.
In the second event, not the first one.
Because usually you grill me. It was like the Premier League, it's not first or 6, it's best of blah, 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 19 or 21, whatever it is. 7-2 against Kayo Newberry, and then the final 7-3 against Stowe Buntz. So Stowe Buntz made the final twice and didn't get over the line there.
Tough.
Very tough. So... made his 4th CDC Pro Tour crown and just Buntz couldn't get over the line. So good to see Adam getting some victories there.
US Darts Masters field. Did they do the qualifiers there with the big question marks? Have they done that?
Not sure. This is just what I saw recently. So
this was a little while ago. We know Damon Head is going to be there. Thank goodness. I'm going to see. Give me a second.
If you can find it, put it up. But I'll just read. So yes, the PDC representatives, we got Humphreys, of course, Littler, Van Gerwen, Bunting, Cross, Heta, Price, Aspinall.
Yes, they did.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah, I'm going to... Give me a second. This computer's a bit difficult. I twice bookmarked the 9-Dar podcast rundown we have Google Doc to the computer, even though I specifically don't need to. So that was weird.
I should do that too, actually.
So, the players will be, in addition to Campbell, Van Dongen, Lauby, Long, and Gates,
Yep.
Adam Savada, Jason Brandon, and Stowe Buntz.
There you go.
There are the additional names. I did see that. Yes, so US Darts Masters fields confirmed for New York 27th to 28th of June at the Madison Square Garden. Probably the best World Series Tour event that we have on the calendar right now. Phil Taylor is back for another night out. He does a couple of these audiences at Portsmouth, he'll be there.
16-time world champion, he'll be there. Nice night out. People asking some questions, giving back sort of his history and whatnot, so that'll be good to see. We've also got Barney, who'll be there as well, feature at the Champion of Champions Week, which will be happening, June 29th. That's not far away at all.
It's not far away from the World's Seniors.
3 weeks, really. Yeah, the World Seniors. So that's going to be exciting to see him there. I think that'll be streamed on YouTube, hopefully.
You would think so. Well, yeah, live on Upload TV and presumably also on, perhaps even on the MODUS Super Series YouTube channel.
Yeah, hopefully.
There.
That'd be good to see
That would be good to watch. Speaking of MODUS and champions of the world, Barney, of course, a 5-time world champ, and Shane McGuirk, the reigning Lakeside champion, winning a week 4 of Series 11.
It was very, very good. That's how you win a final. 103 average, 3 180s, 57% on the checkouts, 164 highest checkout. That is beautiful. I can see it right now. Bang. It's beautiful. And yes, he was very good. Had a great week. 4-1 against Kurt Parry. Parry just wasn't good enough in the end, and he'll be there at Champions Week. As we look to week 5
Andy
now.
Hamilton is the big name that stands out, and Lorenzo Pronk is back. I'm pretty sure he was there in Series 10. Go on, Lorenzo. Connor Heenahan, as well as a regular at the Super Series, has hit who knows how many 9 darters under the Portsmouth roof at this point.
Reece Coley as well. He's one to note. Who else? Justin Smith as well.
And look who's topping him after, it's only after a couple of nights. Fair to say, as we'll see in a second, this Lorenzo's doing a bit better than this Lorenzo. That Lorenzo doing a bit better than this Lorenzo. Lorenzo Pronk is currently leading 6-4, but he's only up on leg difference against Joe Croft.
Yep, and then Sneed, Ulrich, and Fatum all are on 10 points. So it's a very,
it is a very tight group, but for Andy Hamilton, who's a couple back on 6. But even then, he's only half of Pronk and Croft.
That's true. So that'll be one to watch. And then if we go through the weekly winners, we finally got this graphic up. I don't like the white on the gold. It's a very...
that doesn't look amazing, and I'm not sure you even need all those TVCs at the bottom there.
I know. Anyway.
But Jeff Smith, Scott Taylor, John O'Shea, and Shane McGuirk are the weekly winners so far in Week 11 as we continue... Week 11, Series 11.
Yes.
Still no Adrian Lewis. I don't think we'll even talk about it until he eventually shows up in Portsmouth.
Exactly.
Maybe he got... maybe he's still confused and trying to work his way through a bunch of different things.
Lights. I don't know. Maybe on to some more better darts.
Oh, good grief.
I got the victory yesterday. Played a game yesterday afternoon. And I was so... Not to be ego, but I think I was just too good in the end.
This was generally one of your better performances.
It was.
54.33 average, and it should have been a bit high if it wasn't for missed doubles at the end. I missed 8 doubles in the third leg. I was all over the shop. I need an action that's a bit easier to replicate at the moment. I tried standing a bit more like Paul Lim on a 45-degree angle, hoping that would help. And then I kept abandoning it. But my problem at the moment is, after the first leg of this match, Josh's camera was having trouble, so he had to spend 3 minutes trying to fix it.
Eventually.
And I was just throwing practice starts, and this has happened before when there's been stoppages in matches for weird reasons. Players are allowed just to throw some practice starts on the stage, and I was throwing them quite well. We come back, and then it
crumbled.
I couldn't work it out.
Yeah, it was probably one of my best games in a while. Usually I'm around the 45 to 50, but 54 is pretty good. First 9 was very good. Yeah, I know, it was just all flowing. Maybe you should try on a straight angle because you've always been on the side, haven't you?
Yeah.
Or a slight 45?
I'm not throwing. I'm not throwing Gary Anderson style straight. No, that doesn't. I've tried it. It doesn't feel.
Doesn't work
for me.
Fair enough.
I've got to be
slight
a bit more on an angle.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think my biggest problem at the moment is just finding a throw or just being able to throw first dart, second dart, and third dart in a sort of more consistent manner. Half the time, I throw first dart. It's not in the treble 20, but it's close. And the other 2 darts are just not even close.
Yeah. So there you go. Got the victory there. It was decent on the doubles, but now we go to our darts archive.
Before we do that, we even forgot to put in the week ahead one because I want to ask you, Josh.
Sure.
Going back to the World Cup.
Yes.
Who wins?
Oh, yes. Good point.
Who wins the tournament? Before we get to Michael and Simon, who wins the tournament this week? Do you want me to go first?
Go ahead whilst I get back on the
It's a first to 10 in the final, by the way. I think now, this one's a bit difficult because unless you have England versus Wales or Scotland, or Northern Ireland versus Wales or Scotland, there is no guarantee that the final you predict will even be able to happen. It might happen in the second round.
Yeah.
I just think that England and Wales are the best 2 here, and they will breeze their way. Well, they might not breeze their way to the final, but they will make their way to the final comfortably enough. I do think this is the match where this one could be the most difficult for the Lokes if they were to meet Jonny and Gerwin. Jonny said to Online Darts during the week that he felt very confident about his chances with him and Gerwin to play to the two Lokes should they meet each other. He said something to the effect of, it's been all about can anyone beat the two Lokes? It really should be about can anyone beat Jonny and Gerwin?
That's right.
I think they will. I'm going the Lokes to win, which is not a surprise, but it's what's going to happen. But it's going to be 10 legs to 8 in the final against Wales in a very good match.
Okay, well, literally, it could happen. It could be as soon as you pick one of the groups out, it could be any which way.
If it's not those locked in seeds, you could be wrong. But you'll be differently wrong.
I'll be boring. I'll go England.
It's got to be England. It's like.
It is just too good.
It's just going to be
too good. You can see them playing against each other in the Premier League. Imagine them together. Just incredible. That's going to be so good to watch. So England, We'll go. Who will face them? Who will face them? Will it be one of the top seeds or not? I'll give the Netherlands a shot. You know what?
I'm not surprised.
Stuff it. We'll give Netherlands a shot. You know, they've got a decent list there. So. Yeah, you don't know. I could see Nopp and Van Veen going all right. So we'll go England v the Netherlands and first to 10.
Yes.
We'll go 10-6. We'll do that.
There you go. Last week, Josh, you gave us a Eurotour match where MVG, which is very, very strong. This was prime MVG, but it was good to see Simon Whitlock up there in preparation for the World Cup.
Yes, it was indeed. So he had a couple good legs there. Got to 4-2, so turned the tide, but then MVG was simply too good in the end. 95 plus average and very good performance since his prime MVG, the Happy Bet German Darts Masters.
That's what it was called at the time. And this week, we are going to World Cup of Darts. We are going to Paul Lim because it had to be.
Of course.
It's a World Cup week, so we have to have something with Paul Lim.
Duh.
Now, back in the day, this was basically for about a period of maybe 6, 7, 8 years. The World Cup was a 32 team event, so we got 40 nations come in this year. But back in the day, it was only the 32, and you played one match in the first round. It was a knockout format. One match in the first round, best of 9 legs doubles. Then in the quarter, semi, and final, you played, if you're familiar with the Davis Cup in tennis, it was basically a similar system. Had 2 singles matches, first to 4, and then if it was 1-1, instead of 2-0, you would play a doubles decider. In the final, it would be first to 3, you play the 2 singles, then the doubles, and if needed, 2 singles on the back end of that. So this is back in that era, when we've got a best of 9 doubles match in the first round. So the Scottish pair are the number 1 seed. This is the first World Cup of Darts without Phil Taylor. So England go down to the 2 seed of this tournament. The Scottish pair are Gary Anderson and Peter Wright. Surely that they will just be too strong, you would think, for this Singapore pair of Paul Lim and Harith Lane. But can they make it competitive? Can they even cause what would be one of the biggest upsets in darts history? You'll have to watch
find out next week.
Right, that's it, Josh. We're about to set things up for football, I think. I'm going to get out of the Bunting shirt and get into...
have a bite to eat first,
and get into football mode. Thank you very much for listening. It's been a fantastic show, Josh.
Pleasure as always.
Make sure to like and subscribe to Extra Time if you haven't already and check out our stuff. Hopefully, there will be an article written by Josh about the Australians and about Simon Whitlock in particular.
Ready. It's just been waiting to be posted onto the Extra Time website.
extratimemedia.com. So hopefully we will post links and various stuff to that. It was a well-written article, Josh.
Thank you.
And hopefully you'll be able to read that before Australia play in their first match at the World Cup of Darts coming up this weekend. Make sure to watch it and enjoy it. It's going to be a great event. I'm looking forward to seeing the Aussies. I'm looking forward to see the Singapore pair. I'm looking to see how these Asian guys go. And I'm looking forward to see the 2 Lokes playing each other. Can anybody beat them? It feels unlikely. But we will see. And come on, Australia.
Come on, Aussie.
Let's go get them. This has been the 9 Dart Podcast.